Small cap stocks or large caps, which are going to be better for your portfolio? Well, the reason people often favor small cap companies is because they see higher potential growth. After all, the old saying goes that elephants don't dance. In other words, large cap companies are hardly likely to double in value, surely. And yet, of course, we see the likes of Microsoft, Amazon, and Apple periodically doing exactly that to levels which are shockingly high, trillion-dollar companies. Who would have thought they would have seen those in their lifetimes 20-odd years ago? So where are we better off? Well, if we look at the actual numbers, yes, there are prolonged periods over which small cap stocks have indeed outperformed larger caps. But what if we're actually specifically trying to pick individuals? Well, here's some data for you. When you're trying to individually pick smaller caps, perhaps through a fund, a smaller cap fund versus a larger cap fund, what often tends to happen is that cherry picking doesn't work out for the fund manager. So the larger cap fund manager ends up tracking the broader index, in which case you might as well have that large cap index. And the smaller cap fund manager too often actually underperforms even the index itself. If you want to see more detailed analysis on this, have a look at the work of Eugene Favour, the Nobel Prize winner in economics a couple of years ago. But there's other research as well. I also want you to consider this, that the larger cap companies by their nature tend to be less volatile. And rather like the tortoise and the hare, the less volatile companies are the ones which over the longer term have tended to outperform. The reason for this is that at times of market declines, we've had a flight to less volatility as we sought safety. We didn't necessarily go into cash. Nobody goes 100% into cash from 100% invested. What they do instead is they look for safety, a flight to quality. And flight to quality, one of the markers, not the only one of the key markers has often been volatility and lower volatility at that. So for me, particularly when the markets are overvalued, I do tend to have the majority of my capital in the larger cap stocks. That's not to say I won't necessarily try and pick one or two good quality smaller cap companies, but I certainly don't overemphasize that smaller cap is the place to be by capitalization alone, or have a bias towards self-confidence that I can better pick smaller cap companies. I've no evidence of that at all. So I continue looking at their fundamentals. Have a look at campaignforamillion.com and the links around this bio to learn more.